from Florida State.
Yeah, I'll tell you in a minute.
Go ahead, sir. Try it again.
Hey, Coach. It's Chris Heidel from Herbert Radio in Baltimore. So last year was a tough season. Started out 0-3, and everything was going well. What did you learn in that process of going winning 4 in a row that almost got to a bowl game?
Well, last year was a year of great opportunities for us, and it didn't start the way that we wanted, but as a football team, being able to show a response, show an identity, it was there were a lot of lessons that were learned, and it builds to a lot of excitement for what's ahead. And as we went through this last season, and you see the growth, the development, really setting a foundation, and the relationships that were built throughout those experiences, and the great number of guys that we have coming back for this season, and some of the new additions we've been able to bring into our program. It's been an incredible offseason, and to see the growth and development of our players, the confidence that they've shown, because you build confidence through work. You build confidence through experience. And, even last year in times of maybe some disappointing results, the belief and the buy-in of where we're going is something that has our players, has our coaches, has our entire program excited for what the future holds. And, I think this offseason's been incredible. Guys have done a great job. You see the physical development, the mental development, just the confidence that they're approaching every day just to improve and to go be their best. And we talk about that a lot within our program, and I think our football team and the players that we have are doing a great job of showing that on a consistent basis, and now we have an opportunity ahead. And you're definitely excited about being able to kick off in week 0, and just to be able to get on the field and to start this journey for this 2022 Florida State football team, and being able to showcase the identity of who we are and what we're all about.
Coach, directly in front of you.
All right, hello everybody, welcome to the Sports Talk with Chris Heidel, and that's George Fitzgerald shaking his head, and there's Adam, our good friend from down there in Charlotte. I was there, he wasn't in Charlotte, he was in Nashville, but I was in Charlotte yesterday for the ACC kickoff, and that was Mike Novell talking. I had a chance to talk to him in the first question of the day. So there's a lot of expectations for Florida State this year. Basically, they need to get back to where they are, not going to be back where Jimbo was back in year 4, when he was there, going to the national title game. But, hey, a bowl game is a bowl game.
Chris, you know the rules. You get the first question of the day, you got to buy your team drinks.
Yeah.
Now you owe me 2.
I know, I have to. Yeah. I get. Adam wants 2 now.
After being your correspondent up in Portland, Maine
Yes,
for the
you did a great
PBA
job,
League.
Adam. He's back from a great week in Portland, Maine, and and last week we had a lot of issues with the weather down here, so he couldn't make it on Wednesday. But we'll talk real quick after that, in a few minutes. But let's bring in Coach Mike London from the William and Mary, the tribe of William and Mary football. I know this guy since the day he was with Richmond. And then he went to that ACC kickoff a couple of years ago with Virginia, so he knows all about that media stuff. So, right, Mike, you remember all that stuff, like all that. Everybody's there in that one big ballroom, and then you have Dan DeTore ask you this question, and this guy, and you're trying to be very poised and like trying to sell your team to everybody.
Been there, done that, but it's part of what you do. I mean, it's part of the process of introducing your team or talking about how you're going to be. And you just got to bear the questions and have answers. And so, I've been on that stage before, and it's not uncommon that you get tough questions, but that's what we do as coaches. We got to handle that.
Yeah. So you're down there in Williamsburg. So how's life down in Williamsburg? People don't realize Williamsburg is a colonial place that you could go for vacation, and there's a great university down the street from the colonial Williamsburg.
No doubt, Chris. I mean, it's a world-class education. It's got a graduation rate for our student athletes, which is number 1 in public schools, about number 14 in all schools, over 3,000 colleges and schools that participate in NCAA athletics. So it's the best of both world opportunities. We talk about that. I had my, back in the mid-'90s, I was an assistant here when Mike Tomlin and Sean McDermott were players here. So it's kind of crazy how life has become cyclical, full circle. I'm from down in the Hampton area. My first job here, and then turn it around, and years later, come back as the head coach again. So very, very fortunate and excited about this year's opportunity for us.
Yeah, talk about Mike Tomlin. Now he's doing a great job in Pittsburgh, and people don't realize he started his playing days down in Williamsburg, with the tribe. And people when he goes to the postseason, he's in the postseason every year.
No, it's tremendous to have William Mary alum that are in the coaching ranks as well. I mean, you go back to Marv Levy, Lou Holtz. You can just go on and on. But yeah, Mike has done a tremendous job in the NFL. He is someone we're very proud of. Sean McDermott as well, head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Both of these guys were here when I was coaching initially, and they've gone on to kind of represent what success looks like and longevity and those things. And Mike's from a local high school, Denby High School down here in Newport News. My wife went to that school as well. So there's a lot of, I've known him for a while. He's done a fantastic job. He's a great supporter of the program, and we're proud of him.
Go ahead, George. You got a question for Mike?
I was going to say, first of all, Coach, you got to be loved talking about football instead of hearing everybody else talk about their sports. So welcome back to the football season.
You know what? I tell you what, George, it was, I love doing the honeydews when the honey starts telling you to get up on top of the roof and clean the gutters. And there's a wasp nest over there. Can you clean that out? I'm like, I can't wait to get back to go to work. So it's been, I'm excited about the opportunity to get back to the grind.
What's one of the biggest things? What's the most? Let me rephrase this. What's the most exciting thing that you're looking forward to about this season?
We have an older team. We first got here in 19. A lot of young players, a lot of freshmen played, and you go through the transformation of players that are on the former staff. They move on, and you transition, you change schemes, and you bring in players that fit your profile. Now those guys are older, and the opportunities for them to play is we're excited about that. We got some players that are all conference candidates, national candidates up for recognition. And, we ranked offensively, defensively in some categories that we're very proud of, but we can get better at those things. So now it's time to play, George. Now it's time to go compete against, the CAA, which I think is arguably the best FCS conference in college football.
Yeah, Mike, I totally agree with you because and like you see this year, the transition this year, because you got James Madison moved on to the Sun Belt, and then now we're trying to find a new identity in this league. Who's going to be that top dog going to take over that spot? And I feel like everybody's now on the equal playing field right now saying, okay, who wants that spot?
Chris, you're right. You look at it's a strong conference, from top to bottom, and you got very capable coaches. You have teams that have done well recruiting, but also taking advantage of the transfer portal. I mean, that thing has impacted everyone, and your team can look totally different from the previous year because of who you've added to your team. So you take the ingredients of what you know to be true. We're an academic school. I'm very proud of it. So you take that product, you put players together that are really good on the field as well. And here's what we are. Here's what William & Mary is. So a lot of teams have their identity. I'm sure that they're anxious to get out on the field as well.
Hey, Aaron, you got something?
First of all, it's good to have college football season, right around the corner. And week 1, you actually go down to the Queen City of Charlotte to play the Charlotte 49ers. So tell us about some of your prospects that we should be looking out for as the season goes on.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, it's no secret that very, very good friend of mine and a former player of mine, Will Healy, is a head coach down there. And Will was a quarterback on the 2008 Richmond National Championship team. Eric Ward was a starter, and Will played as well. So Will has had a great career in coaching. And typically when you do that, you have chances to move on and move up. And so it's going to be, it'll be bittersweet to see him there. But I'm proud of his success as a head coach there. But we're going against him, as our first game starts up, and we're excited about that challenge. As an FCS school, you find it common to play FBS schools. And that's what we're doing. They happen to be our first game, but in the past we played Virginia Tech, whoever. But this is the one this year, going down to Charlotte on a Friday night to play those guys.
And this time last year, Charlotte played Duke on their first game of the year, and they beat Duke on national TV. So that's a good win for them. So they're used to be playing on Friday night, the first game of the year. So hopefully this year you can say you're not going to win this year. We're going to win, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, it's always important to be very competitive. Obviously, I've been on both sides. I've been an FBS head coach, FCS head coach, and you always have to weigh against the trappings of an FBS school saying we're playing an FCS school. You can't overlook that, but at the same time, you want to play with confidence. And for an FCS school, for us, hey, listen, we're going to go play. It's going to be on TV, Friday night lights, and here we go. So the atmosphere is electric. I've been on FCS teams that have beat FBS schools. And so we're excited about, again, our opportunity to open our season up with our opponent.
Yeah. We're here with Mike London, the head coach of the Tribe of William & Mary, who they're getting ready for their season this year in the CAA. So, Mike, I know I met you so many times, from Richmond to Virginia to Howard. Now you're down here in William & Mary, and I still remember the first story he told me, that you were an officer in the city of Richmond, and one day you had a really bad, I don't want to say a really bad night, but you had somebody shooting at you, and you realized one day you're sitting in your car and going, this is not my cup of tea. Let's get back into what I love to do. Is that truly what the story was, or you refresh my story? The story you told me.
Yeah, I was a free agent, Dallas Cowboys. Tom Landry was the head coach at that time. I got cut, so I spent a cup of coffee with them, and I always wanted to be like Secret Service, U.S. Marshal, because my dad was in the military, And when I got to try to get my hands in law enforcement, the best way for me to gain experience right away was become a police officer in the city of Richmond. So I joined the police academy. 6 months out of the academy, they said, we got a new unit called SNAP, Selected Neighborhood Action Patrol. You get to be a detective. You get to grow a Michael Jackson afro. You get to wear a ring in your ear. You get to platform shoes and puka shells. You get to all those things. And you guys are probably the only guys that understand what I just said. When I say it to my players, they're like, platform shoes? What are you talking about? Puka shells? Yeah. So I had a chance to undercover and did some things down in South Richmond. And one night, individuals robbed the store. In middle of the night, me and my partner happened to be behind the car when the description came out. We followed it. It pulled around in a private housing area. And I got out of the car, got in the driver's side door, fighting with the driver. He pulls a weapon and then pulls a trigger and it goes click. I'm very blessed and very thankful that it didn't go off. And God has been good to me my entire career, and that moment was one of those things that, and then it was afterwards where the only thing that they were convicted of was trying to run me over with the car. So, so I just decided that I can take the verbal barrage from the stands and things like that, as opposed to the physical harm and the near death experiences. So very thankful. One of the things we talk about on our team is go to class, show class, treat people with dignity and respect. I've learned that being a police officer. I've learned that you treat everybody with respect and dignity. But the experiences of a young guy, wanting to get into college coaching was manifested by that event in South Richmond.
Yeah, and also I can see you from West Point, New York, and your father's influence is really, really. When I see you all the time, you have your father's influence that he taught you the morals of being a great human being and respect other people.
That's it. I mean, we all want to be affirmed. We want to be acknowledged. We want to be appreciated. You value people. You reward effort, and you just keep talking about performance and things like that. And this profession, it's when you're winning, things are great. When you're going through tough times, things are tough. But you know what? Instead of asking God for a lighter load, I ask him for a stronger back, because I know people are looking for opportunities to how do you go and withstand adversity and face down whatever the criticisms may be, and just say it's part of life, and you keep on living. You keep on doing the things that you do, that people can feel good about themselves and doing. And I've been really fortunate, like I said, to have been an assistant at Richmond, at UVA, at William & Mary, and then come back as a head coach at those places. So I pray to God I've been doing something right.
Yeah. Hey, George, you got one more question for Coach London, or are you good to go?
I was going to say, Coach, when you go up against your former athlete there, you just got to remind them who's still the boss.
I have baby pictures of him on a bearskin rug, so I might throw it out, on my interview on TV, so I might, but he's done a great job. Very, very proud of him. Looking forward to our season and having fun this year.
That's cool. Hey, Adam, you have one more question?
Yeah, one more thing. Now that James Madison has left the CAA in the Sun Belt, there's so many good schools in the CAA. Do you think the CAA will ever expand? Like some conferences are doing, or do you think it'll stay with the membership that it already has?
That's a great question. Every conference, every school, if you look nationally, are looking to expand. They look to expand their media market. They look to expand their exposure. Look to expand their marketability. And so I'm not part of the meetings that go on with the ADs and the presidents and the CAA commissioner, but I do know that there's always talk about making your league stronger, more relevant, prevalent. Because I've heard Coach Saban talk about the survival of the fittest. I mean, having a strong conference with competitive teams for geographic areas, it can do that. So, this year we added North Carolina A&T and Hampton University and Monmouth. And so who knows about next year, but I'm always, here we go back to coach speak. I'm worried about the first game, and that's against UNCC, which is right around the road.
That's cool. Well, good luck with the rest of your summer. And then we have media day next week on virtually, but I hope to talk to you a little more then, and good luck with practice, and hopefully before September 2nd, we'll try to get you back on the program.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for what you're doing. Appreciate you guys. Take care and have a great evening.
All right, Coach. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, that's Coach Mike London from the tribe of William & Mary. They opened up their season at Richmond, where I was yesterday at this time. Stuck at the airport.
Oh boy! Oh wow!
Yeah, it was a good old thunderstorm that rolled in, and it's the jinx in my family. I keep looking at my phone and go, oh, perfect day down there. No storms, no heat, no nothing. It's just typical summer weather down there in Charlotte. And driving to the airport with one of our buddies on our program, we get on big lightning strike. I'm like, man, I'm
oh my gosh!
Oh, wow. At least you weren't on the plane that got struck by lightning and it blew out all the tires.
Or the one yesterday that was on American Airlines that had people who had whiplash, that they had to stop in the middle of they had to go to Birmingham, Alabama, because they're on the way from Tampa to Nashville.
Wow.
And they had to sit at Birmingham because they had turbulence.
There's only one flight, Chris, I never made it home from, and it was because of bad weather in Charlotte.
Oh, wow.
So we got deferred I'm not sure. I can't remember where it was now.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first trip that I never made the complete trip home.
Wow.
That we actually got deferred, and they actually paid. They put us in a hotel overnight.
Wow. And then you got home the next day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But there was a complete ground stoppage, and you should have seen, Chris, 15 planes all parked next to each other.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Gosh.
Crazy. Well, yesterday, the Herbert FM cameras and myself was down in the Western down in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was the ACC kickoff, the Atlantic Division, and you saw in the beginning of the show before Coach London came on, my interview with my question I asked Mike Norvell, the head coach of Florida State, and we'll preview Florida State in a couple weeks. Every week we're going to try to do a preview of another team in the Atlantic Division. Next week we're going to try to do a little Clemson, because Clemson is one of those big boys in the Atlantic Division that are going to go up against Florida State and NC State and all that stuff. And and this is the final year of the divisions and the ACC, because next year you're all going back to the traditional 15 teams in one league without no divisions. So it's going to be very interesting next year. So Boston College last year, they had a tale of two different seasons. In the beginning, they were rolling. Former Notre Dame head quarterback Phil, our good friend, your good friend there,
Jurkovec.
Yep, was rolling, and then all of a sudden he gets injured, and then they brought in everybody from the greater Boston area to be quarterback, because they called George, and George has no eligibility yet left. But and then somehow Phil came out of nowhere. He was supposed to be not coming back this last season because of the injury. Shows up for the Florida State game and got an opportunity to play in the rest of the season, and kind of almost gave Boston College almost an opportunity to go to a bowl. I think they probably did go to a bowl game. Let me check here. I think they probably didn't they? I know last year they were on the verge. Let me see. Pulling up their schedule here from last year. Yeah. So 43 days they opened up against Rutgers. Wow.
Scary.
The Scarlet Knights.
Yes. They were 6-6, and they qualified for a bowl game, but something to do with COVID ruined that opportunity. Because they were supposed to go down in the Military Bowl and play against East Carolina, and I guess East Carolina had some outbreaks and they couldn't get anybody to fill in. And that's one of the questions I asked a couple of the bowl teams representatives yesterday down there. I had a chance to talk to, because I feel like there's more stuff of that stuff going around. We don't know what's going to be this year for the fall, because we're hearing different reports of different things, George. I got to say the Sun Bowl was the only one that was proactive and got somebody to fill in for Miami, who got busted with COVID. Without because Central Michigan's game got canceled against I think it was somebody in the Arizona Bowl or something like that, right?
Yeah, I believe it was, Chris. I
think so.
Yeah.
So basically, George, you covered Notre Dame, and Boston College used to be on Notre Dame's schedule every year. It was one of those rivalry games. They play for a trophy, right?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
The Shillelagh Trophy.
The Shillelagh. Yep.
Yeah. So, but this is not really an old rivalry. This one started back in like the late 70s.
The Holy War.
Oh yeah. I remember them days.
Yep.
Doug Flutie was quarterback at Boston College. Joe Montana, the quarterback in Notre Dame, and so many great games. And
they're the only two Catholic football teams in the country.
Yep, that's right.
There's a little trivia for you.
It's something. It'd still be great to have Notre Dame be in the ACC. I'm sorry, but you got the rivalry game with Boston College every year. If you're in the ACC, come on.
Yeah, but that's not guaranteed either, because it's a rotating schedule.
Oh yeah, that schedule thing. It's a 3-5-3 or something like that. Something weird.
And now it's like every couple of years now. So
Boston College used to. I think their common opponent is. I think it's It's not Miami. No, I think it is Miami. Let me check. Well, I'm trying to get stats up here. I don't know where my stat guy is. Yeah. So, you guys, speaking of Boston College, are supposed to play Notre Dame this year on November 19th at the beautiful South Bend. So that's going to be a very interesting game because that might help. That might help Boston College get to a bowl game, or it might help Notre Dame get themselves, a little more in this college football playoff situation that, they should be. I think they should be,
And doesn't Notre Dame play Clemson this year?
Yeah, Clemson too.
They do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, this is just basically by default here. It's the old, the Holy War.
Yep.
Oh.
It started in September 15th, 1973, with Notre Dame beating them by a score of 17-3. And I want to guess somebody named Joe Thiesman was probably quarterbacking.
Yeah, I believe that was quarterback from Notre Dame at the time.
Let me see. I want to see if Adam knows why they changed his last name. Why did they change Joe Thiesman to Joe Theismann? Why?
Oh boy. I'm assuming it had something to do with a broadcaster.
Come on,
you got it. Come
on,
take the T off his name.
Okay.
Take the T off his name. There was their selling point for the Heisman.
No,
they started calling him Joe Theismann because he was a Heisman candidate.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
So George, you want to change your name for the Heisman?
What's that?
You should change your name for the Heisman. Like, who does that?
That's you don't pretty see hard.
That you don't see that anymore.
Desmond Howard could have changed his name. Desmond Howard could have changed his last name to Heisman after he struck that Heisman Trophy pose against Ohio State in a kickoff in a punt return for a touchdown. I think it was 91.
But that's the closest you'll ever get for someone having a name close to the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah,
than Joe Thiesmann.
Yeah.
All they did was put the T instead of putting the hard emphasis on a T, they made a th out of it and made him Theismann versus Thiesmann. Must be nice to have that interchangeability.
George, here's my question: why didn't he just change it back to his original last name? Why did he keep it?
He just changed the way they pronounced it. That was just.
Yeah, I was just saying. It's like me. They're messing. They make fun of my. They can't pronounce my last name if they could try.
I can.
I know you can, but some people when they call, you get those phone calls. It's Heidel there, Heidel.
My last name.
He's not sitting over there in Germany.
Have trouble pronouncing my last name. So I understand what you go through, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's talk. Let's play one of my interviews. I had a chance to talk to. I saw Coach Jeff Hafley yesterday. He was funny. He came into the lobby of the Western, and I was down there taking pictures of the uniforms. And I said, "Hey, Coach Jeff, how you doing?" And he was like, and I introduced myself, and he goes, "Oh, you're the guy from Baltimore." I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Cool." And he's like, "Well, thank you so much for coming up and say hello to me because a lot of people don't do that." I'm just sitting here, watching. I guess people don't, say hello to anybody anymore. So I'm like, okay, So I talked to him they had the breakout room area after all the players and the coaches talk to the press and the media. They go out to, go to this room, and they set up these big these tables, and all these other media. It's like a media friendly. They're all this huddle around. Like I should have took a picture of Dabo Sweeney's booth yesterday, George. It was like there was no way for anybody to get in there.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow.
It was like Chris waiting to get inside to the bowling alley. You had to be there 3 hours ahead of time.
Exactly.
Oh, George, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Or me trying to get into the restaurant and wait for a table. Hey. Yeah. So anyway, so here's my quick interview with the coach of Boston College, and I asked him about the tale of the 2 seasons last year in 1 year. You had Phil starting, Phil gets hurt, and then Phil comes back. So here's my sorry for the quality of video, but it's hard when you're doing everything yourself. So here it is.
He's been our guy and came back and won us the next 2 games. The biggest thing I'll say right now is I feel like for the first time since I've been here, which hasn't been very long, I feel like we have depth now. We have Emmett Moorhead, who's a backup, who I feel really good about. And then Matthew Reevy is a number 3, who I feel good about. And what I've learned as a head coach is you need to get your backup ready to play quickly. And I will always take that with me.
So basically he learned from he got to get his backups ready to go just in case if there's going to be a problem. Nobody wants to go through a season with their backup or their third string or the fourth guy. You want to have your main guy there.
Chris, that goes back to what we said a couple weeks ago. We were talking about Notre Dame when you have quarterbacks going down and then you have a quarterback who is too deep into himself and is not even sitting there paying attention to the game. Mm-hmm. He's sitting there off back in the corner being all on his lonesome. Your head's got to be there the whole time. You don't know when that call is going to be, hey, what's his face is down or whoever, hey, dude, you're in. It's next man up. You got to have your head in the game. And that was that's a very smart move on it. If a coach doesn't think like that, then there's a problem. And that's what led to me to have that conversation with you, Chris, when Notre Dame had that problem with that quarterback and a certain coach, wasn't making sure that he was up there on the line. He just let him go back and wallow in his sorrow.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
and
a good coach will adjust.
Yeah, and we know who that coach is, and we're not mentioning his name because because George might get a little angry and may want to drive down to New Orleans and just whoop him.
Chris, you know what? It's water under the bridge. It's brand new football season. It's not even. It's a moot point.
Yeah. Hey, he talked the other day in the SEC Media Day, and he had good things about Notre Dame. He was telling people what Notre Dame. Because somebody asked him about, would they ever stop being independent and join a league? And he goes, well, it's up to them. It's their. They have a great tradition, and they understand about being independent. And I'm thinking, you're just there last year, and you're making a comment about you want to go somewhere else.
It's like I said, Chris. You know what? It's time the folks just move on from him.
Until you play him in a bowl game and beat the snot out of him.
Thank you.
Just take care of business. That's what you leave it on the field. That's where your talking goes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Like I was telling somebody the other day about this whole situation about these realignments. Like they're talking about, Florida State, Clemson, and Miami going to the SEC, and I'm like, oh, Florida State would love to have Texas A&M on their schedule.
Oh, sure. The Jimbo Fisher Bowl.
Yeah, Jimbo coming back to Tallahassee. That guy needs to have a police escort.
That would be more of a fans game than that would be a players type of thing because none of those players there now were under Jimbo Fisher.
No,
true.
And plus the players down in Texas A&M don't know what went on down in Florida.
That's right.
Florida State. So, right. And every time when I talked to Jimbo last year about Bobby Bowden, he was very emotional about it.
Well, there's a difference, right? He worked for the guy.
Yeah, and
so there's the difference, but
and I still respect him. I know. I talked to somebody yesterday. They said, he probably paid his players. Who cares? Everybody pays for their players now. This is why that whole name, brand, and everything else going on.
Name and likeness.
Yeah. It's going to ruin college football because you're going to get some little hothead high school kid getting more money than Aaron Judge. Just to what? To throw a football and hopefully make the team?
True.
It's ridiculous.
It's all crazy.
Anyway, back to Boston College. I talked to their
reel back in.
Reel back at the Eagles. Yeah. Josh DeBerry is one of the defensive backs, and I asked him about the same question about two seasons last year in one. You guys were rolling. and all of a sudden Phil goes down, and then you're bringing quarterbacks out of retirement almost. I was waiting for Doug Flutie to show up. Yeah. It's like, yeah, Doug. I don't think Doug's doing any NBC broadcast lately. Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's my my interview with him. Yeah, with Josh yesterday afternoon. So here it is. Talk about last year. You guys had a tough season, up and down. You lost to Florida State. It was a close game, and you won a couple other games. What do you guys have to do this year to finish those games so you could actually maybe battle for Atlantic Division title?
I feel like it's just the leadership. In terms of just being able to not beat ourselves this year, I feel like we did that a lot last year. With Clemson, we did that 2 years in a row. And just in terms of doing the little things so we don't have to beat ourselves and getting over that hump as a team, as a group, I feel like that's the biggest thing that we are facing. Yeah, so, basically, like I said, you got to play 4 quarters, no matter what. And you can't just play 3 quarters and you think about it, you're looking at your watch going, hey, we're going to go out to dinner afterwards. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
True.
Yeah. So the last interview we got, I know George loved this guy when he was at Notre Dame. Did you love Phil? Did you like Phil better than Ian Book?
No.
Wow.
He didn't. It's like everything else, Chris. You see a kid play in high school. He's big man on campus when he's in high school.
Mm-hmm.
He comes into the next level, and he never quite made that adjustment. And even that former coach of Notre Dame said that he wasn't fitting into the scheme. He wasn't fitting into the rest of the talent of the team. Okay, and he was off as a quarterback. Sometimes taking that big step into a big school like that, it kind of knocks you down a couple pegs.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't all that accurate. And I truly believe in sports psychology issues. I believe that it happens in the pro levels and it happens at the college levels. Okay. Is that you get to a certain point and the game gets bigger than you. Right. And you can't catch up. So, and I think in Phil's case, I think it got away from him at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, I don't think he did the work at Notre Dame.
I think he tried to do the work, Chris. I'm not saying he didn't do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I think he tried to do the work, but he couldn't make that next step. He couldn't get himself caught up to where the rest of the team was. And he definitely wasn't Ian Book. Everyone talked about Ian Book, about this, and this.
Yeah.
But that was all about coaching. Okay? When you take the restrictions off folks, players can do crazy things.
Like that saying you hear all the time, take the handcuffs off and let them run the offense. Like you hear that a lot in the NFL, like with Joe Flacco, when he was with the Ravens, why is Harbaugh doing this type of format of, running the offense? Let Flacco throw the ball down the field, take the handcuffs off him and be a quarterback.
Well, it was like when Malik Zaire was there at Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the press conference, Coach had said, he had told Malik that, if I saw you going to run, I was going to have them call you as a sack. Okay. He didn't want, he was trying to develop a quarterback to be a pocket quarterback, but in the end, you can't force that. You have to play game type situations. So a coach can also make or break a quarterback. But when you have an off combination of coach and quarterback, it's got to be about the whole package.
Right.
Maybe Phil just couldn't get comfortable with Kelly and his staff, but because he goes to Boston, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Boston and he's like a savior.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a savior.
It's all about fitting into the system.
Yeah, he's literally playing for a new coach because before he showed up, was Steve Zazzi was still there, right? He left.
I believe so.
Yes. Yeah, so Steve didn't have a chance to, talk to this guy. Steve, got fired, went to Colorado State, and he got fired a year ago. so he's out, of a job. So,
and that's when you put a lot of pressure on a kid that's 18, 19 years old. It takes a truly special athlete to be able to step up, take that pressure, and be able to execute. I know my job. I'm whatever age. I'm not going to say it.
Oh,
And there's there's different pressures that you get.
Yeah.
And sometimes it knocks me off my game. Okay, so I can't imagine a 19-year-old trying to play for one of the biggest programs in the country and not succeeding. And it's happening all over the league right now. Clemson went through it last year.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's going on. Ohio State's having that problem, so it's tough.
Well, they're having those problems, but they're all in the Heisman Trophy talk.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you got to let things come naturally instead of being worried about those goals.
Right.
You let it come to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I talked to Phil yesterday afternoon, and I asked him what did he learn when he was out on injury? Because when you're on injury or injury reserve or any part of the season you're not playing, you get a chance to reflect about where you are. And this is his answer, and it's a very good answer. I like the answer he said to me. So.
And it's a great question, by the way.
Yeah, because you don't know what because when you get injured, you want to play right away, and sometimes the doctors tell you, George, you can't play until 4 to 6 weeks, and you're like, really, and you want to go out there and help your team no matter what, and then you see these quarterbacks coming in, and they're like making your offense look atrocious because.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were dead last in offense last year. They were, the quarterback only threw average 350 yards per game. That was terrible.
Yep.
So here's my. Let me find where it happened to Phil. Do I have Phil? I didn't get Phil on here. Oh, okay. Well, we'll get Phil later in the show, but I did talk to Flowers, his wide receiver. So let's talk about him first. Let's talk about Flowers, who he's the man. So I asked him about his chemistry about Phil, because when you're a wide receiver, you need to have chemistry with your quarterback, because if you don't have chemistry, it's gonna be a long year.
You're not getting any looks.
No, and you can see that in the NFL with Randy Moss over the years, and you see it with different wide receivers. If you don't give them excuse my French, the damn ball, they're gonna call you out in the media.
Well, you're all trying for a future. And you can't showcase your talent if you're not catching the ball.
Right.
So sometimes if a quarterback's not even good, you got to make him look good, but you're making yourself look better.
Right.
True.
Exactly.
Very true.
So let's play. This is real quick with Flowers, and I know George has to go do something real quick, right? Do you need to go or?
I'm good for now.
Okay. All right. Here it is.
I know his arm strength, my speed, so we both got like a connection where it's like we both know what's going on at the same time and where the throw going to be and how the throw going to be placed. But both of
so sorry to cut that off. I have this new program; it's just cutting things off. But you got to have chemistry. That's the bottom line. And if you don't have chemistry or anything, it just you're gonna have a long year, and that could also ruin an opportunity for coaches to show up, stay longer. Because if you don't have the chemistry, I guess you're not going to be around.
Yep, and then you don't fit in somebody else's system.
Yeah, exactly. So, don't know where Phil is I guess I lost him.
Phil?
Oh well.
Phil, where are you, Phil?
Phil, where are you?
Phil?
Where art thou,
Phil? Phil?
Where art thou? Are you, Phil?
So anyway,
Phil.
It was great to talk to
Phil,
Coach.
we're texting you, Phil. Come on.
Hey, Phil, if you're watching this program, give us a call. Call this number.
And it's not 867-5309.
Oh.
Yeah, Jenny.
Oh gosh.
Or 1-800,
Oh,
1-800, like the 1-800 numbers, for some of those roofing companies,
Yeah.
Damn jingles. So anyway, it's going to be a very interesting season for Boston College. They're not they're in the middle of that pack in the Atlantic Division, and they have to go. If you look at their schedule, besides playing Rutgers the first game of the year, they have to. They have to go. Yeah, the following week. Yeah, the following week they have to go down to Virginia Tech. So that's going to be, and it's a Saturday night, 8:00 prime time. Yeah, that's going to be
interesting, man.
Yeah. So, and then they're home against Maine, on September 17th at 7:30, and Maine is the team from the CAA that we were going to try to get a hold of Coach Stevens, but that's a new team because their coach Charlton went to UConn.
True, that's right. Yeah.
Speaking of
Randy Etzel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go over Jim Mora. Jim Mora is now the coach now. That's going to be very interesting.
Former UCLA head coach Jim Mora.
Yeah.
Playoffs?
What do you mean about playoffs?
Playoffs?
This is his son going, I don't know how to run the was he the 49ers head coach?
I think so.
And then he was a Falcons coach. Yeah, he was a Falcons coach, and then he had a chance to win the Super Bowl, right? Was the offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
And some Patriot team decided to come back and beat him.
Yeah, I
I
remember that Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you look at their schedule, it's very, and then you have the meat of the schedule for Boston College. You got to go to Tallahassee, then you got to go to Louisville. Louisville's getting better, and then October 8th, the red bandana game, against Clemson, and those games, they bring out those special uniforms, because it's some guy who wore bandana running into the tower and getting people out of the tower, and that's why they do a special game for him. It's for their, we'll cover that down the road. We'll get somebody on to talk about that. So it's 7:44. We're waiting for our next guest coming on the show. He is a quarterback. He used to play quarterback for Boston College back in the day.
Chris, you should bring up what you did this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yes. What we did was I actually that gentleman in the right-hand corner made a trip to my neck of the woods. Yeah, Gettysburg, and Nicole and I went up to see you and your lovely wife and your daughter, and had a great dinner at the a nice little bar across the street from a hotel that had the Gettysburg Address on it.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah. So
you got to bring up a picture of the guys, Chris. Bring the picture up.
Yeah, let me go get it. Hold on. Let me get it off the.
So it was very interesting. Chris and I were talking, and I think Chris realized I'm more like his brother than he ever thought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, basically, you and I have the same viewpoints of sports stuff, and and your wife doesn't like you talking about baseball.
I thought you were going to say that I was a klepto.
Oh yeah, and also klepto. Yes, the klepto as well. Yeah, my brothers, when they used to, they I don't know if they've done it since, but when I was growing up, they used to go to IHOP. I'm probably gonna get them arrested by now. Yeah.
No.
Oh, I just gotta leave it as a klepto, and you just leave it right there. You don't have to.
Yeah, he's a klepto. One year my brother didn't have to buy stuff from the supermarket because he got what he needed. Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
But, no, it was finally good. It was good to finally meet Chris in person versus just through the computer. He's taller than I thought he was because. We sit here, we're sitting down, and we're just talking on a computer.
Yep.
I look up. Chris is just a few inches taller than I am, which I was quite surprised about.
Exactly. Yeah, so let me bring it up. I have the picture here. Hold on. Let me bring it in.
Because we've learned that technology now.
Yeah, we got to love it.
Yep. Yeah. And also let our viewers know at 8:00 we have one of the best. Nice, very nice guys. Nice picture.
Yeah,
so, what you don't see there was I was soaking wet.
Yeah.
Really?
Just had a downpour.
Oh wow.
And we had just made a run from the front of the restaurant we were at to the car.
Oh wow.
I called Chris and I'm like, hey, we're at the restaurant and who's pulling in the parking lot?
Chris.
Yeah, Nicole and I, we do when we have to go somewhere. We plan ahead. we make sure everything's we got everything hooked up on the right time. And yeah, we were driving. We went up one of the roads that we have here in Maryland because we had this big storm last week that knocked out power and knocked some big trees down. It was very interesting to see how different places are still trying to clean up. You know, and some areas are still. I think some areas still don't have power. Right, Nicole?
That's crazy. A week later.
Wow.
Yeah, I think some of them are still trying to get back to power because this area has a lot of massive big trees.
Oh,
And
okay.
a lot of wooded areas, and I feel like, when these storms came, the winds were at the time last Tuesday, last Tuesday, they were up near hurricane strength winds, and
wow,
and we've been getting a lot of rain. So when you have a saturated ground, the trees are done with a missile. And I got to show you. I think I'll download this again on the computer, but let me see if I can pull this up on my phone here. I'm trying to get a hold of Scott here. I think Scott's running behind, or he said he was on the boat. He's doing something. Yeah, let me pull this up here.
And also to let our viewers know, at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have one of the best of all time from the PBA Tour, who I got to see throw his last shot in Maine.
Look at that. That's a hole that's in the ground from a big branch out in my front yard that went down like a missile.
Wow, Chris. Wow.
That was the hole. I remember that hole. You told me about that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was huge hole. Yeah, it was a crater. It was not like a big crater, but it was enough for I was like, wow.
Mm.
You got your own putting green right there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But I'm not going to wreck the lawn because somebody cuts the grass around here, and he might give me another bill.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if he's watching. So.
No, but that was a good time. It was a good time. It was good to see Chris. And I'm truly a people person, and there's nothing better than meeting people in person versus.
Yeah.
This stuff is okay, but I'm an in-person kind of guy.
So am I, George. It's like, the first time I went and saw the PBA Tour in Annapolis, Indiana, I was like, I always wanted to meet all these people, and it's like, I felt comfortable meeting them in person. Talking to them online, and then you meet them in person. It's like how they are online is, sometimes they're how they are in person. So it's like, especially going to Portland, Maine for the first time. It was crazy, but I'll just say this: it's been over 2 weeks now. You know how much I miss the guys? A lot.
It's crazy.
That happened. I saw
it goes quick.
Yeah,
that was the best vacation I've ever had in my entire life. It was like.
Last week at this time, I was just leaving the National Cemetery and going. We were just sitting down for dinner on our first night.
Wow! Wow!
Yeah.
And a building, by the way, that was built in 1776.
Cool, cool, George.
Yep.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Like yesterday, I traveled down to Charlotte and I had that thing scheduled for a while, and then you get on the plane, like, wow, you're actually there, and then you come back home and you're sitting here today going, where did I go yesterday?
Right.
And you're trying to figure out, like, why am I so tired? Because it takes a lot out of you because you have to.
So yeah.
You got to, like, you had to fly up to Portland, Maine. You had to go to a connecting flight in Jersey, to make sure you had an opportunity to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, people just, and then you're wishing that you have no issues with any connecting of your flights because you want to get there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you want to get home just in case, get home in one piece, and you don't have to, be there, and hopefully you're there on time, get done. Like yesterday, I get there to Charlotte to the airport, and when I flew in, went down to try to find a light rail. When they told me there's a light rail, there's just buses.
Wow.
So I had to find the right bus to take me to the Western, and I got the right bus. The guy was very helpful. They were very helpful down there. The shuttle, the people, Charlotte, buses. They were very helpful, But I'm sorry, but Charlotte is a nice city, but there's some places around there smell.
Yeah,
It's just, I guess it's just the way it is down there in the South,
It's just the way it is in some places.
Yeah. It is.
So anyway, in a couple minutes, I'll give Norm Duke a call in a minute here. Let's play, hopefully, oh, here's Scott real quick. Let me get Scott on because Scott just joined us real quick. Scott used to be the quarterback of Boston College. So Scott, how do you say his last name, George?
Mutryn.
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 Hey, Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for coming on. I thought you were on the boat. How's the?
Yeah, no, I had to jump off. I'm actually at another thing, so I got a couple minutes that I made sure I had to. There's a certain, it's a family situation with another family that someone suddenly passed, so I'm at their house.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, we'll keep it short and sweet for you, so you can get back to what you got to do.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. So 2022 is upon us. So what did you see yesterday from your take from the outside looking in at the ACC kickoff?
Boston College has got a lot of questions that they have to answer. They're replacing their entire offensive line now that Christian Mahogany's out for the season with a knee injury, and I think that's a lot of questions. And I hate to play the woe is me role, but BC's getting the typical kind of thing that they get. They're projected to be in the bottom part of the ACC now, but I take BC's quarterback. I think Phil Jurkovec's got a potential to be a first-round draft pick, and I think there's some potential for this team, and it's always nice to be the underdog.
Yeah, I agree with you. And last year, you guys had a tale of two seasons. The first season of last year, Phil and you guys were doing so well. Everything's running smoothly. And then Phil gets hurt. And then they probably called you to ask to be quarterback, right? Because they needed somebody to fill in, but it was like quarterback by committee. And then Phil shows up for the Florida State game. And Coach Jeff was like, I thought he was out for the whole rest of the year. He pops up for the Florida State game. And you guys roll to the hopefully play a bowl game. And that got canceled because of COVID down in Annapolis.
Yeah, I think even though Phil came back, he was a shadow of himself. That injury against UMass really kind of derailed the season. Dennis Grossell's a great kid, but he just doesn't have the talents that Phil has. Phil's a guy that he comes off the bus, and that's a guy that you look at. He's 6'5", he's 230, he's an unbelievable athlete. He can throw the deep ball like nobody else. He's Ben Roethlisberger Jr. I've said it for 3 years now, watching him play, and to lose that big play capability, you just really put handcuffs on an offense that really was going to rely on him to have a successful season. And it's a shame because the ACC was ripe for them to make a move, and they just weren't able to do it because of the injury. But I give Phil a lot of credit for his ability to go back out there and compete when he was probably about 60%. But to me, that says a testament to his character and his leadership. He wanted to be out there for his teammates, and that's a guy that you want to go to war with.
Yeah. George, you got a question for Scott real quick?
Yeah, Scott. So I cover Notre Dame football. I covered Phil for a couple of years when he was here. It's very interesting that you say that he's a first-round draft pick. And he's like a Roethlisberger Jr. What was the biggest change from the time he left Notre Dame to where he is now with his Boston College career?
Am I allowed to speak frankly?
Right ahead. I may agree with you.
I think Ian Book was a classic field general that was extremely impressive and was very great with his feet and did some really great things there, and he's extremely accurate. And I think Brian Kelly wanted someone that was going to be smooth and not make a lot of mistakes. Phil has some high beta to him, so he can have some mistakes, but the big play capabilities that he possessed, I don't think Brian Kelly really liked and appreciated. He didn't really want to let the reins go and let Phil's best when things break down. And I think that, Phil doesn't always have the greatest practices, but man, he's a gamer. And I think that Brian Kelly didn't like that aspect. He wanted someone that's more consistent. And Ian Book provided that. And I think Brian Kelly just didn't allow Phil to be his true self. And Jeff Hafley and the staff has allowed Phil to do what he does best. I think Phil's biggest challenge this year, and I've said it on the broadcast, is that he's got to be able to execute the offense within the framework. And if he can handle the intermediate game and show some consistency there and not lose that big play capability, that the sky's the limit for him.
And while Chris is on the phone, I'll just give you a quick follow-up. Sometimes we talked about Phil just needing to fit into a system. And that happens a lot with college quarterbacks, right? Where it looks like initially it's going to be a good fit, and then something happens along the way. Is that what you're kind of saying with what happened with Phil at Notre Dame and versus where he came into Boston College, that the Boston College was a better fit?
Yeah, I think Brian wanted to run his offense, and Phil didn't necessarily do the things that Brian wanted him to do. And for that position, as having played it, the system matters, but it's also the coach allowing you to do what you do best. You're only going to succeed in an environment where you're allowed to do what you do to the best of your abilities. And BC allowed Phil to do that while also trying to bring him in the confines, and we're willing to deal with the mistakes. And Brian Kelly just frankly wasn't willing to deal with that. He saw the upside, but he wasn't willing to deal with the downside. And Ian Book was a much safer call because he was more consistent and did what Brian Kelly wanted him to do. And that's as simple as it gets. And that's a coach preference. It's no knock on Brian Kelly, but he did what was best, what he felt was best for his team. And Boston College had a little more leash that they allowed Phil to be his true self.
That's true.
Scott, first of all, love the shirt. I'm from New England myself. I was born I was born in Malden, Massachusetts. So, I know all about the history of Boston College. So, we're talking about this before you came on the air, but Boston College and Notre Dame renewed their rivalry this year with the Holy War. So tell us what it's going to be like to have the rivalry game back this year.
I think it's going to be great. I think there's nothing better than these two schools playing each other. They should play each other every year. Notre Dame started out hot. BC went on a huge run in the Tom O'Brien era where they actually got ahead. And then Notre Dame, thanks to Brian Kelly, he's done a great job of getting back to Notre Dame's roots and kind of recruiting the players that make them successful. Now that they've gone through those changes with him going to LSU and all, I think it's going to be interesting. But I think that rivalry is a great college football rivalry. And even though I'm wearing a Sox shirt, I am a Cleveland guy, so don't show this to all my Cleveland people, although I'll make fun of me. But I think that rivalry is a special rivalry. You got two Catholic schools going at it. I think BC has, some questions on the offensive line that need to be answered, and they, defensively they're going to bring in some young guys. I think they're going to be better. It's going to be a tough game. Notre Dame's loaded. They have so much talent there, and it's going to be a tough game. But there's something about that game that usually brings out the best in both opponents. My last game was against them in '98, which we don't want to talk about. That still brings back bad memories for me. But I think it's a rivalry college football needs, and it's frankly it's something that should be a every year sort of thing, and who knows what's going to happen as college football realigns. But I'm excited for it, and I think from speaking with the BC guys, especially Phil, they really want to make their mark. BC always wants to beat Notre Dame. I think BC considers them a rival. I think Notre Dame doesn't. There's something about that little brother complex that BC has, but you always go into that game wanting to beat them.
That's true. Well, Scott, thanks so much for coming on. I hope everything goes well. Sorry for what's going on, but
and I'm sorry I was late. I really appreciate it. I could do one.
We'll get you on during the season.
One more question if you want. If you guys got one more, or if you want to go, that's fine too.
We're good. We're good. Oh, I'll let you go. We'll get you on before the first game against Rutgers. Okay.
I appreciate it. And I'm sorry about that. It's just some things popped up and beyond my control. But I appreciate you guys having some leeway there. And sorry I was late.
It's all right, Scott. Talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. Take care.
That's it.
Bye.
All right. That's the former quarterback from Boston College. So, Adam, I guess it's time for you to bring this guy in. This gentleman is a.
I do believe I shall.
40th. Hold on. Let me bring him in real quick for you. Okay. Let's bring this up a little. Okay. This guy's been bowling since I was want to say 3 years old. Yeah, 3 years old. And he won his first title in 1983 in Cleveland. He's been bowling ever since then. And last week he had a great send-off up in the beautiful Portland, Maine. Adam, welcome in. Who's on the phone?
Norm Duke.
Adam loves doing that. You know, he was Norm. He was talking about you guys had a big party after the whole Elias Cup final, and you walked up there. It was like you're like running for president, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome.
That's cool. So how you been? I know I talked to you last week. You were heading out to Grand Rapids for a junior bowling thing, and it seemed like you had a great time there with all these young bowlers. And what was that experience like going out there watching these new bowlers that you're like, wow, they got two hands, or they have the traditional one hand bowling?
Well, I think the difference for me is that I've known, and I'm older than most of them's parents, so. My goodness, I get to see families that I've known for years, and I get to see families that I've never met before. But in both cases, it's cool, not only, like you said, to see the new talent and stuff, but just to say hello. There's 4,000 some odd entries. I'm guessing there's about that many family members when we're there. And so no matter where you go, Chris, no matter where you go, you got to be game on, because everyone around you are pointing, and that's the joy, is no matter how young these kids are, they still know somebody my age.
Yeah, I was just telling you before I introduced you on the show again. I was, when you won your first title, was 1983. I was born in 1981, so I probably was watching you as age 2, because my mom used the professional bowler store as my daycare. Because
that's why you ended up like you are.
yeah, I think that's probably why. Yeah,
I was your babysitter.
Yeah, you were my babysitter. So thanks for. My mom should pay you for babysitting. I'll tell her that.
It's another bowling title right there.
Yeah, you want a bowling title, and Chris Schenkel calls you Little Norm Duke.
You know what? After that, I had to get with him. I said, "Look, Chris, I'm 18 years old. I'm traveling the tour. There's a lot of really nice girls out there, and you're calling me Little Norman Duke doesn't help, and you got to cut that out." And he said, "Man, I'm sorry, Norm." He's such a nice guy, right? He said, "Norm, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was doing." I said, "Man, you're killing it for me."
Yeah, I found because I was reading the stuff on the PBA Tour website, and I remember, and there was another one I was growing up. You were playing in the St. Louis Open, and he called you Norman Duke. Norman Duke. I'm like, what's he doing? But hey, that was Chris Schenkel back then, and he was the face of bowling.
Not to mention the fact that I didn't make a whole lot of TV, so every time it was like his first time with me, and he hadn't had a nickname for me or anything like that. In fact, like you said, he didn't even know if my name was Norm or Norman.
Yeah, I was like, I just saw that it's on YouTube, and I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, and I'm like, I'm not going to call you that because I know you for a very long time. And I was like, I think it's funny when people mess up names. Like my last name's Heidel, and I get Heidel. I get like, and I'm like, what the heck is that?
You're the king of messing up last names.
Yeah, and I mess up last names all the time, so it's like part of my my shtick. I'm like, I'm trying to, I just messed up the guy before with Boston College by accident. I'm like, sorry, I'm like. Yeah.
Well, the trick is to have a last name that you can't mess up, like Duke.
Right.
That's a good one.
It is.
Nobody ever gets it wrong.
Yeah. So talk about 2 Sundays ago. I can't believe it was 2 Sundays ago. You were up there in Portland, Maine, getting ready to bowl in this Elias Cup final. You told people it was your last tour, last on TV. You're going to come back there as a manager, right? Or are you managing, or are you just going to go?
Oh, no doubt.
So Norm's going to be back. So
yeah, I'm just acknowledging that there are younger players that are more deserving than me at this moment.
Yeah.
Now I will tell you this: we finished second, and it was a barn burner. So it wasn't like I was a horrible pick, but I just know that there are better selections out there, given my age and their youth. And I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm a manager first, and up until this point, I have been an excellent selection for the Dallas Strikers. And at this point, there's better out there. So I've already told my team, yeah, we're not doing any more, dude. And they're good with it. I mean, they look at me and they go, Norm, look at you. You stretched this out to the max. And I agree. I'm like, man, I could have quit 10 years ago and everybody'd been happy with it.
Yeah.
But I stretched it out like no tomorrow.
And you were supposed to retire in 2020, but this thing called the pandemic showed up. And you were like, wait a minute, should I take a couple more years to see how this thing works out? Because at that time, we didn't know what the world was going to be like. And this time, two years ago, we were all shut down, sitting at home trying to figure out if we're going to allow to go to the supermarket. You know?
Right. And, the bowling centers were kind of like a safe haven where you could at least mask up and go get something done. And nobody locked the doors on you. And, that was a big – I didn't see it coming. No way could I see that coming.
Right.
And then right in the middle of it, I just looked around and everything in the world looked different all of a sudden. It looked more lonely. It looked more isolate. And then when somebody said, are you going to bowl? I said, I can't wait. This is terrible. Yeah. So, I was into it. But, it's not like I didn't have plenty to do. It's just I couldn't do any of that I had plenty of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had you on after the Masters this year, and that was almost like you were talking about on the show. Dave Ryan and Randy Peterson were talking about that was almost your fairy tale ending. If you didn't lose to Simonson there, you would have won your Masters title. That you won one before, right?
Yeah, I had won one, but that would have been a major, and that's primarily what will from this day forward. That's what your career is going to be. I guess compared to when Jason wins 13 majors or 14, whatever the heck, you can't even keep up with it, right?
Yeah.
One more major's a bunch. That's all I know. And so I'm still trying to get over that loss. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. We lost in the league, and then look at that ending, what I got to enjoy with those pros embracing me and showing me the love that they did. Nobody had to, and it could not have been scripted because he's likely going to have to throw that ball to win. In fact, we could have won in 3 matches and would have had another hour and a half to do a lot of nothing.
Right.
So for them to do that, and then that crowd, when they start chanting and it's so loud, there is no way you could have asked for a better ending for me, even though we just lost, and that was devastating. We're giving them 3 in a row. It's hard to change momentum in the game of bowling, right? You got to do it when you get the chance, and even though we failed, look at what I got to enjoy.
Right, I agree. And my girlfriend was asking, she was rooting for you because she's like, I love Norm. And I want Norm to win. I'm like, okay, we'll try to get Norm to win here. And we look.
Maybe that's why I carried that one that was right to that head pin face, and it struck us because she was sending me all the luck in the world. See there? It's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. And then for me, I know you really well. I know Kyle really well, and I'm sitting here going, okay, who do I need to win here? Because I like both of them. I'm sitting here going like, okay, if somebody wins, I'm hoping to get both of them on the program because I don't want to give one of them the wrong, the cold shoulder and say, oh, sorry, I didn't get you on the show because you didn't win.
You just got to root on the guy that's going to give you the best interview. So there you go.
Exactly. And Adam right now is shaking his head back and forth. So Adam, talk about the experience real quick. You were there.
Oh, sure. I will. First of all, Norm, it was an honor and a pleasure, to see you throw your last ever bowling ball in person at Bayside Bowl. So, for the viewers who have never gone to Bayside Bowl and experienced what we've experienced, tell them why they need to go up there and see the PBA League. I mean, if this didn't bring more people up to me next year, then there's something wrong. I mean, what I saw was absolutely nuts, and I mean, that was the craziest ending I've ever seen. So tell people why they should go to see the PBA League at Bayside Bowl in Portland, Maine.
Well, yeah, it's certainly different. And the problem there is going to be a sellout. I think they reached that capacity this year. And
Oh, no.
Oh,
did we lose Norm?
he is an absolute superstar in Portland, Maine, and for good reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So getting tickets to Maine is going to be kind of tough. So try it early. And you're right. It's an atmosphere that, if you remember, a lot of our fans don't appreciate it very much. They think that it should be more like golf with the quiet signs and, hey, let's let the man at least throw instead of this big chant. Frosty, when Dave Watt could do the ball with his hair frosted that day, or they started chanting UPS.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Nobody could figure out what the heck is UPS, and they said, Low Shedder's wearing all brown today. I just thought these people are just crazy, the things they come up with.
Exactly.
And God forbid if you have a birthday or something like that on main events, oh my gosh, it's never over for you.
Yeah, they're still celebrating your birthday, and it's like 3 weeks later. Like, okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Jesus. George, you got something for Norm?
I sure do. So, Norm, when I heard you were announcing your retirement, I was like, wow. We had just talked with you a couple weeks before that, or a month or so before that. And then I heard this news, and then I heard who you had your final match against. I'm like, Chris, first of all, Norm just announced his retirement. I said, second of all, he just lost the troop, right?
Yeah.
And I was sitting here, I'm like, it was like parallels of the universe coming together. It just clashed into one moment of a show that you were on with us. And you know what? People always know when the time is right. And you told us you would know when the time was right. And you did exactly that. You've been such an ambassador for the sport, Norm. Talking with you these last couple times, and just talking to you guys in general about bowling, is reinvigorated me into getting back into bowling. So I'm so excited for you.
Well, let me set the record straight, everyone. I have never announced retirement. I've never used the word. I don't like that word.
No.
Yes.
But Jason Belmonte announced my retirement, and it absolutely came with the commissioner's notice. In fact, the commissioner came to me and said, Norm, you told me you weren't retiring. I said, I'm not. He said, well, Jason Belmonte announced it today. I said, well, I can't help that. You know, that's Jason. He said, well, doggone, we were going to do it.
Yep.
And he said, so right now, I'm just going to think that you're still not retired. And I said, no, I'm never retired. I'm just not entering any more events.
Yep.
So when people ask me, no, I'm not going to bowl anymore, especially not for a title. If it's for a title, you know, I'm done preparing that hard to try to win events. It's you know, after 41 years, my goodness, just to travel alone would send you into, a desire to stop. But the work that it takes at 58 is just compounded.
Yep.
And if the commissioner was to call and say, hey, we want you to come over here and throw some trick shots, or we want you to come over there and do a strike-a-thon or an exhibition or something, absolutely. You know, my role from this point on is to gift to bowling as much as I can and try to repay some of that I'm indebted, that I will never pay back. But look what the sport has given me and afforded my family. And, you know, we do have sacrifices that we have to make, the time away from one another and everything. But my goodness, looking back, I say, that was absolutely miserably tough. Would I change it?
Right.
You know, probably not.
I agree. And also, and like I just heard that Commissioner Clark he put something on Facebook. He was trying to get you to go to Akron, Ohio.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
tournament champions.
I'm like thinking to myself, please don't be. No offense to Carmen Savino, okay? He's a legend of this game. He's such a nice guy to talk to. I talked to him a couple times on the phone, but I just felt like he was there until he couldn't even throw the bowling ball down the lane. And I'm like, please don't do that to Norm. You know,
that felt lonely to me. And you know, Johnny went out the same way at the tournament champions when neither of them made the cut, and the last ball they throw is the one that they get cut. And you know, the commissioner wanted that, and I told him, man, that's exactly what I don't. So here's what I told him. I said, look, if you and I were just to forget about this and just let things pan out, I guarantee you something's going to happen It's going to be great. And 2 days later, they give me that send off on national TV. No, I wouldn't have it any other way. In fact, I wish that all of the other players that have ever bowled got sent off like that.
Right.
I really do, because that was cool as heck. And the others seemed to me, just lonely.
Yeah. It wasn't right for them. It was like like you said, it was a shot they're going to get cut, and it was like, thanks for showing up. See you later. We put you on Fox the next day. As sitting there in the crowd waving at people, and it's like,
right.
it's like that's not a way to do it. And what you
and
did,
a couple of guys do a photo and post it or something. I was in national TV with Wes Malott grabbing me and sucking all the air out of me.
And Wes talked about that last week. I had him on the program, and he was still in awe about it. And even Dave Ryan, he was like, that was the greatest. And Dave Ryan said, with all this stuff he's been broadcasting his whole life, that game. That was the greatest thing he ever did on TV. And he said, and plus watching Norm, and he was telling me about you, they were all crying. Randy Peterson was crying. Dave Ryan was crying. Kelly was trying to find tissues for everybody. And
you can't better that, right?
Yeah, you can't. And I'm sorry, that's better than Tom Brady. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did Tom Brady do? Wow, he won a Super Bowl. But but you were put on your shoulder by Wes Malott out the door. You're onto the sunset, and now you're going to enjoy life, and you're going to be a manager in the league, and that's better than nothing, right?
Well, and as long as I can stay healthy and desire to keep the position, I tell you, we have like an identity, the
Right.
Dallas Strikers, and boy, everybody that is a striker for a year, we want to come back. I mean, Nick Payton and Brad Miller, until they got drafted, of course, by other teams, they were trying to figure out how in the world we were going to get back. I was trying to figure that out. It's just, it's kind of like a family of 5 or 6, depending on what year you're looking at. We don't bowl much of that,
Right.
All of ours is individual. And so when we come together as a team, it's so much more special because it's new to us. We have to figure out how to do it.
Right, exactly. Well, Norm, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I love talking to you all the time, and don't be a stranger. When we do this league thing again next year, we'll get the manager Duke on, and we'll do your game plan and what you need to do to win a ball game and all that stuff. And maybe you have your bowling ball in your car, just in case there's somebody. I have mine in my car, just in case there's somebody wants to go bowl.
Can you imagine how big my holes are going to be next year at the league?
I can see it. I can see it now. Hold on, children. Let me go get my bowling ball. And you're going outside.
Yeah.
And
in closing, guys, I just want you to know Wes Malott is 6'5". I don't know. He's so huge. It's crazy. I can't get any of my fingers in either of his bowling ball holes. Okay.
Yeah.
My hand is bigger than his, longer than his, and everything. So when I quit bowling and then my hand goes back down to like it's supposed to be, it's going to be real small. So
Wow.
I think the bowling with my balls there at least are out. I'll use Wes's.
Yes. Well, I'll talk to my mother about giving you some babysitting money. So I'll talk.
That a boy.
I'll support her this weekend. But thank you so much for being a guest on our show, and we're so proud of you. I know you wish you won a title. I think that would have been better to win, but going out on TV was probably the best thing you ever did. And enjoy the rest of the summer and relax and do stuff around the house and be that father. And do all those I need to do list things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, we thank you very, very much for covering bowling. And listen, anytime you want my opinion on anything, if something happens on TV, you want my opinion, call me up.
Oh, we'll probably get you on next year. We'll have Norm's analyzing Jason and maybe when he's retiring.
Yeah, I want to do Simo.
Okay.
All right, Norm. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
All right, see you. Bye.
What a great guy, Chris.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this to all the viewers that are watching. If you've never gone to a PBA tour event and you want to go, I highly recommend you go. I mean, all these guys you see on TV are just as nice in person. They'll sign bowling pins.
Mm-hmm.
They'll sign bowling balls. They'll take pictures. It's like a family atmosphere, and how Norm went off, him Following a strike, that was the perfect send off. I mean,
exactly. Well, let me let's shift gears and get back to college football. We have the head coach of Richmond Spiders, Coach Russ Huesman, with us. He's a nice guy too. If you get a chance to spend some time with him, he's one of those nice guys in the sport. You know, he's been coaching for a very long time. So, hey, Coach, thanks so much for coming on, and thank you so much for being patient with me last week with this weather stuff we had. We had a big storm that rolled in, and that was fun.
Yeah, I heard about that. We a couple of our players are from up in that area. Obviously, they're here in Richmond, but they were talking about it a little bit. So I understand completely. And I like Norm. Great dude. He's pretty cool to listen to.
Yeah, Norm is one of those guys. Yeah, it's funny. Like I was saying, my mom should give him babysitting money because she put me in front of the television when I was 2 years old watching him on TV, and I guess my mom owes him money. But that's pretty funny. But so speaking about people, like different sports, it's funny that people like you. Have you ever watched bowling? Did you know who he was before you came on?
I recognize the name, but I've never followed bowling. But I like the hair he had going there back then. I don't know bowling real well, but I do know there was one crazy dude out there. I can't remember his name now. Back in the day.
Okay.
And maybe that was Norm. Was he crazy out there on the lanes?
There was a lot of crazy people, right, Adam? I think.
Yeah. One person that was crazy. His name was Guppy True. He wore like
weird pants.
He had the crazy outfits, and now his son Kyle is the same way on the PBA tour. So
Anyway. So you're getting set for the 2022 season. So how's summer going for you? Because I know you're getting ready for practice.
Going good. We got the majority of our football team on campus, either in summer school, internships, stipends, whatever it is. But we got most of our guys on campus, and they're working really hard. We get to be around them a little bit here in the summertime. We get a couple mornings with them. The NCAA changed the rule where we can actually have a football out there, no contact, but a football out there. So, we're getting the opportunity to work with them, and then they'll go home for about 11 days, and then we start camp August 4th. So it's going good.
And you played your first game of the season against Tony Elliott and the Cavaliers. So that's a new coach up there in Charlottesville because Coach Mendenhall sadly retired and went back to his ranch in Utah. I think he sold his house real quick, Russ. Like he sold his house in Charlottesville and he's gone. I was like, wow. Yeah, that's like a nice how do you do? See you later.
I just read an article about him and about what he's doing now, and sounds like a pretty good life.
Yeah. So talk about Virginia. New coach, probably the same scheme they had. Probably a different scheme probably. But, Coach Elliott is a disciple of Dabo Swinney. So it's going to be interesting to see how these disciples of Dabo Swinney, these coaches, are going to help see how they can become better, just like Dabo is.
Yeah, really the only thing we're watching from the University of Virginia is some personnel stuff on film. Everything else we're looking at is either Air Force, Clemson stuff. We're going back a couple years. To where their coordinators had been. Special teams are going to be a little tougher because the special teams coordinator, he wasn't a special teams coordinator until he got to Virginia. So, we're trying to piece it all together by, where we're getting film from, who we're watching, how we're breaking them down. We got our work cut out for us. And then plus you're playing a BCS program who's always been good. They've got talented players. So, it'll be a huge challenge for us on September 3rd.
That's true. Adam, you got a question?
Yeah. To tell us what it's like to play in in-state forward to start the season, like the University of Virginia, compared to say someone from out of state.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd rather be playing UVA Wise than University of Virginia, to be honest with you. But and if UVA is Division III school in Virginia here, so it didn't sound like anybody's laughing at that one. But
right.
we like to play the FBS schools. Our guys like to do it. It's great for our budget. It just so happened that Virginia cycled on this year. We played Virginia Tech last year. We're going to play Michigan State down the road. So, we want to play one of these games every year. They're extremely difficult. They all have excellent players, tremendous team speed. And so, we'll have our work cut out for us for sure. But whether it's Virginia Tech, Michigan State, we're going to play North Carolina down the road, just to have the opportunity to let our guys line up against BCS programs and BCS football players is pretty cool.
Yeah. And last year against Virginia Tech, you had an injury, right, to the quarterback, right? And that was that game down in Blacksburg. You had I think your starting quarterback went down and, or somebody went down. It was kind of like one of those it impacted your season, right?
Yeah, our quarterback went down.
Yeah.
And excellent player. And I think it was maybe the second play of the game. He scrambled, got about 25, and broke his right index finger. And he missed, I think, 4 or 5 games after that. But our backup came in and he did a nice job. They were just, they were pretty big. They were really good on defense. It was tough to move the ball. It would have been tough to move the ball, no matter who we had at quarterback at that time. But, to lose our starter, who was a really good player, we were just happy to get him back the last 4 or 5 games of the year.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk about the new CAA. You don't have James Madison anymore. You used to have JMU on your schedule, and now they're off to the Sun Belt and new vendors, new conference. Now, this conference is now looking for identity now, because I feel like it was you guys, JMU, Delaware, and every year it's switched, to a different team. Now it looks like everybody's equal and like, okay, who wants to be the top dog? And Mike London agreed with me earlier in the show that everybody's now trying to be that number one program.
Yeah, obviously James Madison last few years have been top dog. I mean, they've been to the championship game. They played really well. They've got excellent players. And, now that they're gone, I think everybody wants to kind of rise to the top. There's a lot of good teams in this league. Still, I mean, even though we lose James Madison, there's quality football teams. I mean, Villanova, tied for or went to the playoffs last year and tied for the championship. So, we've got Delaware, William and Mary, Elon. So it's an excellent league. Nobody will play James Madison anymore. And now I think it could be anybody winning the league this year, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk about that rivalry with William and Mary, because it seems like every year you guys play for the Capital Cup, and you guys are like, you're in Richmond, and they're in Williamsburg. So it's basically how did this whole thing start about? Because it's like an hour and a half away.
Less than that, probably about an hour away.
Okay,
really close, huge rivalry. I know when James Madison was in the league, James Madison always felt like Richmond was their rival. Richmond always felt like William and Mary's our rival, and they are. I mean, the biggest rival is I think it's the third longest rivalry in the South, and it's the biggest game of the season for us, no question about that. And I'm sure it's the biggest game of the season for William and Mary too. So great opponent and fun to play that game. And we play for the Capital Cup. And it's been going on for a long time. It used to be called the I-64 Bowl because we went right down 64 from Richmond to Williamsburg, and then they changed the name of it to the Capital Cup. But really close. We recruit against them a lot on a lot of players. Obviously they're a tremendous academic school. University of Richmond's an elite academic school, so there's a lot of similarities between the two universities, and so big game every year, but it's always the last game. So we've got 10 before then before we can even start thinking about them.
Yeah. Well, talk about your time being in Richmond, because people don't realize, it's the Queen City. It's a very nice city. I love going down there, sometimes stopping by and seeing different buildings. And it's very a financial city for all the financial situations. But people don't realize they take their football seriously, their sports down there with Richmond, because, you guys are their sport. It's almost like a pro team in Richmond that basically if you can't even go to the supermarket without even anybody bothering you, right?
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the city of Richmond. It's a great city, and for us, we actually use that in recruiting. You can come to the University of Richmond. Now, our campus sits about 6 or 7 miles away from downtown in a residential area on the west end of town, and so you could be at the University of Richmond, and there's just residential area all around it, and you wouldn't even know there's a city around, but all the financial stuff and the internships and just the things that are there for our athletes, whether it's while they're in school, finishing up their degree, internships, or when they finish, the job opportunities. So the city of Richmond has really helped us in recruiting. But again, you may not even know it's there because we are kind of, we're away from it a little bit. And for me, I live in Hanover. And I go from Hanover to campus back to Hanover. So I don't get downtown a whole lot, but I know the young folks like downtown Richmond a lot. And you look pretty young too, so you probably like it.
It was actually nice. I was there for the CAA basketball tournament a long, long time ago, and they had nice bars. I know the Richmond Coliseum is old and they need a new updated facility, but I thought it was great and quiet. And the funny thing is, Adam, when you go to Richmond, they don't have parking meters. You just put money in a little slot, and you hope your car's still there.
Wow.
It's like one of those like weird things. Like it's like an honor system. Like, oh, here's $5. Thanks for coming. And I'm like, normally you put a meter in, and then somebody gives you a ticket. You have to go put it in this board. And I'm like, okay, I hope my car's still there by the time I get out of the game. But that's what Richmond is. Like, it's a quiet city community. Every city has their issues, but to me, I feel like it's a nice place.
Yeah, it's a great city. We got a AA baseball team, the Flying Squirrels. It's fun. So there's a lot going on here. We got to compete against Virginia Tech and Virginia and William and Mary and all those people for fans and fan support and things like that. But there's plenty of people out there that love the University of Richmond and support us really, really well.
Yeah. George, you have one more quick question, or do you got something for Coach Russ?
I was going to say, Coach, we talked to Mike London at the top of the show, and it's got to be great just to talk football versus having to listen to everyone else talk about their sport. Now it's your time in the sun. It's your time to step out and just be able to talk about something that you love.
Oh, I mean, to be honest with you, I've never opened my eyes in bed in the morning and ever thought I don't want to go in the office. Never once. And that'll tell you about the profession. I wake up and can't wait to get in the office, be around our student athletes. We get to be around 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. We get to put shorts on and go out on the grass and coach young men. We get to help young men, help them with their lives moving forward. It's a great profession, and I don't ever wake up one day thinking. The day I wake up, open my eyes, and say, "Man, I got to go in the office today," is the day I don't coach anymore, and that's never once happened to me. Pretty cool. I mean, it's a great profession, and any coach, whether it's baseball, basketball, I mean, you get to work with young men, and it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thanks for coming on tonight, and enjoy the rest of your week before you start training camp. And I know you get back to that grind, and we'll try to get you on before September 3rd and see you a little preview between that game against Virginia.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to come on. It's going to be a grind, and come August 4th, man, it's nose of the grindstone and getting after it every day.
All right, Coach. Well, safe travels and have a great rest of the summer.
Thanks for having me on, you guys.
All right, Coach.
See ya.
See you.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, that's Coach Russ Huesman, who is the head coach of the Richmond Spiders. It's really good to talk to some good coaches here tonight here on the program.
I mean, it's like I mean,
it's like two good interviews right there, back and back. You had Norm Duke, and then you had Chris Ross.
I will say this to all of you guys, living here in North Carolina, you don't know how many people I've already seen wearing Florida State shirts, Chris, and the Gators, and it's like, I mean,
hey, you're outnumbered, George.
I mean, it's
I'm
like,
getting ready for football season too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've asked a lot of people, "Are you ready for football season?" And everybody's saying yes.
Exactly. Well,
They
here's
are ready.
the thing. We'll switch gears real quick before we get our good friend Dan DeTore on. We have a brand new team coming into the state capital here in the state of Maryland. They're playing. They're going to try to bring in a pro soccer team into the capital of Annapolis. This guy is working very hard to get the team in there. Let's bring in Michael Hitchcock, who is the founding partner of the Playbook Management International and also part owner of the of this team going to be down in Annapolis. So, hey, Hitch, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Chris. How about yourself?
Not bad. Thanks for coming on tonight. And I was very surprised that they're trying to put a pro team in the state capital of Annapolis. So how did that all come about?
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. I've been in the soccer management business for 26 years, which there probably aren't many people in this country that have been doing this as long as I have, and I've got the gray hairs to show it. That's why I'm wearing a hat right now. So I've been doing this a long time, and actually started my career with DC United down in Washington, D.C. as a young pup out of college doing commission-only ticket sales. And back then, we didn't have the benefit of social media or a computer or email. We had a phone and a phone book, and we'd call every law firm out there trying to sell tickets for their summer associates program. And so, we jokingly tell stories about how far the sport has come. Is we used to literally we duct tape tickets to soccer balls to, get kids and their parents to come to a soccer game. And fast forward 25 years and the sport's booming right now in this country. And so, what's happened is most people are familiar with Major League Soccer. That's seen as our Premier League or First Division Major League Baseball equivalent. Well, the sport has grown so much that you now have a minor league system underneath it. And so you've got, leagues like the league that we're bringing the Annapolis team into that is the equivalent of single A baseball. And so it's a league for, young, aspiring, professional players, aspiring sports management executives, coaches who want to coach at that next level and try to make that jump from college to the pro game to be able to take a shot at it. And so, we're super passionate about the game. I'm an owner and investor in 12 soccer teams all over the world. And so, Annapolis is the next one. And we launched it a few weeks ago that we're bringing minor league soccer to Annapolis, and incredibly excited about the market and the potential. And we actually launched a campaign where the community can name the team. So we've got 4 names that and logos that we've worked on the concepts and had over 1,000 fans vote online so far, and many more in person at different events we've attended and through social media. But the response has been really, really nice to the concept of bringing the team to Annapolis.
Yeah, I just took a small video I found on YouTube about the city of Annapolis, and I'm here. Annapolis for me is basically on a good day, probably like an hour, because I'm in Cockeysville probably on a good day. If there's no construction on the road or any traffic, it's such a nice, peaceful little town, because if people don't realize, Navy is the college town. And then you got the state building down the street from there, and you guys are probably going to be playing at Navy, right? And that is that what you guys are playing? Or you guys be playing at some local high school? Where are you guys going to be playing?
Yeah, so we're going to make an announcement in a couple of weeks. We finalized an agreement to play at a major venue in town, so hopefully that helps give a little bit of a hint. At the end of the day, this is about fan experience and providing quality, affordable family entertainment to soccer fans, and we know there's a ton of them in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County that. Right now they got to drive to, an hour and a half to go see high-level soccer in Washington, D.C. And you said it, right? If not construction or traffic, well, show me a day where there's no construction or no traffic. And so at the end of the day, having a hometown team that is wearing Annapolis on the chest, that, you can put a great product on the field and a great crowd in the stadium and provide a fun experience with a nice cold beer and in the fans' hands, and you got something there. So, this is we always view these teams as their community assets, and Annapolis, I think, is primed and ready for it. And once again, the early signs have all been really positive since our announcement a few weeks ago.
Yeah. George, you got something for Hitch?
So, Hitch, I used to be a soccer coach for my daughter. I never played a lick of the sport, but I'm a pretty quick study. When I pick up a book and when they're saying your daughter's team needs a coach, you learn how to do it, right? Those kids are now 15 and 16 years old. The sport is so much is growing around these teenage kids that soccer is primed to be a breakout sport. It's just an amazing sport. I call it. I mean, people say there's sports, and then I say there's soccer. Okay, no, there's no sport that you play for a more consistent amount of time in the field nonstop than you do soccer. So I'm glad to see that soccer is having this ability to get a minor league level, because you got to have a pool of talent to pull from for these other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's nice to speak to the Ted Lasso of the program. That's always always fun. And yes, great program, by the way. Absolutely great program. Yeah, it's interesting. So having worked in soccer in this country in the very humble beginnings back in 1996, and fast forward 25 years, the founding fathers of MLS, who are some of the great sports pioneers in this country, Lamar Hunt, Phil Anschutz, Robert Kraft, were the original investors of Major League Soccer. And what they said is, wait till 25 years from now and soccer will be a major sport in this country. And fast forward, it's happening. And I always describe it best as friends older than me didn't play soccer, and most friends younger than me did. And so, I'm sort of the beginning of this soccer bubble, as they call it. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's the world's game for a reason. And, you don't have to be, 7 feet tall to be great at it. You can, it's a game for everyone. And it's an inexpensive game to play. You just need something that resembles a ball and a flat space to play the beautiful game. And so, yeah, we're really excited. We think the market is ready. The early signs have been really positive. We plan on having a big kickoff party down at the waterfront in September. So we'll be sure to invite you all to make it out if you can. And at the end of the day, we're going to have fun with this, right? I mean, it's a beautiful thing about minor league sports. You don't have player unions. So the players all, sign an agreement that, yes, they're a soccer player trying to make it as a pro, but they're also an ambassador for the sport, for our partners, for the game. And the third thing they are is a positive role model in the community. And so, part of this is these players will be doing hundreds of player appearances in the community and doing kicking and reading programs and go into the boys and girls clubs and really trying to make a meaningful one-on-one connection with the kids to not only, inspire soccer players to reach their potential, but and want to play the game at a high level, which is what will help this become a soccer nation. But really, it's just making a meaningful connection and letting these kids have something they can aspire towards. And then on game days, our tickets, they're $10 for adults. They're going to be $8 for youth. I mean, really inexpensive, quality, affordable entertainment. And then game day is going to be a show, just like any other major league sport event. We just happen to be doing it on a little bit of a minor league scale. But we're going to have a great venue. We think we have a great market, and it's up to the fans what we're going to be called, but we'll have a great brand because the fans are picking it.
Yeah, here's the names that you want to see. The names are Seawolves, Yard FC, the Krakens, and Blue FC. So the Krakens might give you a little problem because that's the new team in Seattle. Yeah, for hockey.
Well, you got Giants in baseball and football, right?
Yeah,
you got a bunch of teams called United in soccer. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what we wanted to do was create 4 brands that this is what my sports management company does for a living, that were different and unique, and then let the community decide. So Seawolves is paying homage to the Special Forces of the Navy from the Vietnam War, the platoon called the Seawolves. The Yard FC is obviously, as most people know, the Naval Academy is known as the Yard. So it's got an anchor logo with a soccer ball. The Kraken was just sort of that fun, sort of mythical, let's see how it does, which with the younger kids is winning the vote, with older adults is not. And then the final one is Blues, and the logo's a blue crab, right? So it's like, obviously something that's close and means a lot to the community and that part of the country. So it's been fun to see, and we've got some great announcements coming up. We finalized a big apparel partnership with a global company, which will be great for merchandise and creating great stuff that people in Annapolis can be proud to wear. We're going to have a great logo because the fans are picking it. We've got 2 former Major League Soccer players from Annapolis that have joined the ownership group. So back in my Major League Soccer days, one of the players played for me. His name is Alex Yee. The other one is Kyle Beckerman, who played 22 years in Major League Soccer. He's from Crofton, Maryland. Used to go to Navy camps as a kid and Navy games as a kid. And, these former pros who have just retired, and Kyle was a former national team player, want to give back to their community. So they really buy into the philosophy of the club and all the things that we want to do to, once again, just inspire that next generation of players. And it's a big group to be able to connect with, for sure.
Yeah. George, you got to follow up real quick?
I was just going to say, Hitch, you know your craft. You know that you need to wrap this around the community. You know you need to wrap this around the kids, because what's the kids going to say? Mom, Dad, I want to go to that soccer game, right? And you're going to create that atmosphere. Not only is it going to be good for the kid, but you're going to create an atmosphere that's good for the parents. And everything that I've heard, Hitch, you definitely have the package.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. We just launched a team in Lubbock, Texas, which is where Texas Tech University is. That's 5 hours west of Dallas. Everyone said, "You are a madman. You're crazy." Well, Lamar Hunt told me early on when I worked for him, it's crazy until it works, then it's visionary, right? So, we launched a team in the middle of nowhere, Texas. Texas Tech University is the big dog, called the Lubbock Matadors. That team averaged 4,300 fans a game this season. So, and it plays in the same level. We brought players in from all over the country, found some local players to give them that opportunity, and we're helping players go to the next level. One of my teams in Denton, Texas, 4 players went to Major League Soccer from the team. And so, this level, just like single A baseball, double A baseball, plays a critical role of growing the game. And in this country, Major League Soccer has really established itself in major cities. But where we truly become a soccer nation is when the tier 2 markets start to embrace this. The Boone, North Carolinas, the Annapolis, Marylands, the Lubbocks. And so and by the way, that's where we're going to find our Messi or Ronaldo. Everyone says, where are they coming from? I can tell you, they're coming from one of these smaller communities that if we didn't have these lower division minor league teams to inspire them and help cultivate and provide opportunity, they would get lost in the shuffle, And I think the saying is talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. So we're trying to give that opportunity to communities that don't have it right now.
Hey, Hitch, head up to South Bend. Trust me. If you were to try and plant something like that here, it would take off.
Very interesting. Yeah. We've got a little bit of a formula, having done it so many times. So, we always have a branded beer for our team. So this is my team in Fort Worth, Texas. This is my team in Lubbock that's got the Matadors logo there. So, every market, we work with the top local brewery, create our own branded beer. We do a lot of fun events. And you said it really well, is it's about the whole community, right? It's about the kids coming together. And I think what we've seen coming out of this pandemic is we want community more than ever before, right? We probably took it for granted in 2019. And now in 2022, it's like, just let's hang out with our friends, our loved ones, have a great time. And soccer is a really unique vehicle in bringing the entire community together. The Hispanic community with the Anglo community, regardless of what district you live in, regardless of what socioeconomic area, it brings people together. And to me, that's really why it should be called the beautiful game.
That's awesome. Well, Hitch, thanks for coming on, and don't be a stranger. If you want us to help you out, just give us a call. Email me, and if there's something you want to come on and talk about, or you want to promote, because I don't know if the local media around here knows you guys yet, but use me. I'll help you get it out there.
Awesome, man. We appreciate it. And by the way, great program. I really enjoy it. You guys do a wonderful job. And I heard Russ talking about Richmond. I played soccer at VCU in Richmond a long, long time ago. So yeah, it's a cool city. It was good to listen to him talk about University of Richmond.
Yeah. All right, Mitch. Hitch, thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Hitch.
Yeah. All right. That's Michael Hitchcock, who is the founding partner of the Playbook Management International, trying to bring a team down to Annapolis in 2023. So maybe in 2023, we might be doing something, but I know in 2020, here in 2022, we just got done with the ACC kickoff. This gentleman who does a very good job at Syracuse, does a great job with his own media outlet, was bringing our good friend Dan Tator, who was on last week. Him and I were talking about stuff about different things we'd like to see down in the ACC kickoff. So we're going to recap what we saw the last 2 days. So, Dan, how you doing, sir?
What's up, gentlemen? Happy to be here. Happy to. I can't believe it's over. And I finished up with Virginia Tech, and I got in the car, and I was like, "Wow, 14 schools," and it felt like it was done in about 10 minutes. When it's over, it feels way too quick.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about the last couple of days. I was there yesterday, flew in, flew out. Yeah, that was fun. Hopping up on a plane. So we saw Florida State, Clemson. NC State. What's your take on the Atlantic Division? So it seems like everybody wants Clemson because NC State, beat them, but Wake Forest lost pretty heavily, but they wanted a rematch. And you have Boston College, who has them this year on their schedule for the bandana game.
Yeah, I think, obviously Clemson is Clemson. I think it's insane there's a couple insane things that I've heard. And one of them was last year. So last year, the year before, when they wanted to fire Nick Saban, I thought that was idiotic. And Dabo Sweeney, and Dabo actually talked about this at ACC kickoff. Well, actually, his players did. He said, we were getting ready to start packing Coach up because everybody said 10-3 wasn't good enough. So we were, going to pack up his office and, kind of get prepared for him getting fired. So, I think it's crazy. Clemson is a fantastic team. They're the darling of the ACC right now, and they have been. And, how do you not pick them? Who do you pick above them? NC State can vie for things, and Wake Forest can vie for things. And Dave Doran and Dave Clawson are two guys I've respected for a very long time. So, really, the whole time I've been a part of the ACC, almost a decade now, and for the time that they've been here. So I'm a big fan of both. I think that they have a shot, and I like Mike Norvell. I like what he can do in Florida State. And Jeff Hafley's a fun guy at Boston College. I think Satterfield's days are numbered at Louisville. And I think Dino Babers has to really show if he can do it with his own guys and his own scheme and his own things, because Eric Dungy, what people don't understand is he did the unteachable things, and that 10-3 season was because Eric Dungy is just an incredible specimen of a player, which the XFL will hopefully find out very soon. So I don't know how you don't pick Clemson. I think if you don't pick Clemson, you're just trying to be different and dare to be different. How about vote in a poll how you should? And I don't, can you argue that Clemson's not the best team in the Atlantic? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, Dan, yesterday I ran into Jordan Travis yesterday. Around we're walking around the whole the Western, and I looked at him I was like, son, you get knocked around, dude. I was like, how do you get yourself back up after those hits? And he's like, I don't know either. I said, I'm sitting at home watching it in my office, and I'm thinking, nope, he's not going to get up. He's not going to get up. And he gets up, and and he goes, yeah, sometimes I don't even know where I am after the game. I was like, you take a lot of hits, and I was like, you need to be careful this year, please. He goes, we need you to keep rolling. I don't want to, because you don't want to be like Boston College with Phil, two different quarterbacks, and then you're trying to find somebody to run your offense, and you're going to probably call Dan DeTore to be quarterback,
Well, Steve Adazio with Boston College a few years ago, he had he played four quarterbacks. So, the Jurkovec situation is not great, but it's not what BC went through a while back. So, I'm hoping that Jurkovec obviously shows out. You got the Notre Dame game circled because that's where he was. But, Jeff Hafley, he's fun. He's got a good attitude. And I like my playful banter with him a little bit yesterday. I think he's got some good energy, and he's a guy I'm excited to get to know, his young coach. So, I think he brings something to the table in BC that's different. Today was extremely eventful, and yesterday there was a lot. You tell me where you want to go, because it's about 157 things that came out of ACC kickoff. So whatever you want to talk about.
Well, before we go talk about Coach Commissioner Phillips, you talked to him yesterday during that commissioner forum. Adam has a question. Adam, go ahead.
Talk to us about what you think of all this realignment that we're seeing in college football. USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten in 2024. Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC a year later. Do you think eventually we're going to have like four or either three or four super conferences like everybody has been saying the last couple of years?
I think so. When Oklahoma and Texas decided last year around this time, I started to talk thought things were going. Wofford a while back on Swofford when he was the ACC commissioner. I spoke a couple times about, well, we spoke much times. Autonomy, I asked him about what was going on autonomy-wise when it comes to self-governance and what that really means, and can they break away, and can these conferences of the Pac-12, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC, can they eventually do their own thing? And he said, well, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but not right now. And this was a few years back. So I asked him again, same thing. It's not that it's not on the table, but not right now. And so then we saw what happened with the SEC, and I'm a firm believer that these conferences have been heading toward self-governance outside of the NCAA potentially. And so at this point, I'm going to stick by what I said a year ago, and I believe what I thought was going to happen is going to happen. I think the SEC will separate into its own league. I think the Big Ten made the move for USC and UCLA to try and become a part of that. I think the Big Ten wants to be with the SEC's new iteration, but I think the SEC, no matter what's going to go. And I think we're going to have tiers. I think we're going to have the SEC, maybe the SEC Big Ten. And then I think we're going to have the Pac-12, whatever it's going to be called at the time, the Big 12, the ACC, and everybody else that's in FBS. And then I think we'll have FCS. And ultimately, I don't think anybody can catch up with the SEC. I think the Big Ten's trying to. I said the worst thing the ACC could do is the worst action is inaction, and they're not moving right now on anything, as we know, at this point. And Jim Phillips, I spoke with him yesterday about expansion, and he did leave me with some hope that they're having conversations with people and institutions, but the ACC needs to show their power. They need to show their might, because as I said on the first day of ACC kickoff, if you're not the ominous cloud will find you.
Exactly. George, you got something for Dan?
So Dan, first, we'll talk about your interview question, because I thought they were fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
But there's been something that I've been talking about with folks for a while, and that's about a competitive season schedule. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And yesterday, when I saw this thing come out, Nick Saban talking about we need to be playing a competitive college football schedule, I was like, is he listening to me? Because I've been saying this forever and a day, that back in the 80s, we played state. There was schedules that were played. There was good games every single week for Saturday afternoon football. And all of a sudden, Nick Saban, of course, he's going to get the credit for this, and it's okay. But I've been saying this for about a year and a half, 2 years. We need to go back to a competitive football schedule and just have at it. As he said in his yesterday, have teams be 8-8, right? And figure out who's going to get into the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm in. I am in for something where you have teams with 2 or 3 losses, but you've gone out there and you're playing the best of the best.
Right.
That's what this is the whole thing about college football, and that's what made it great in the 80s, is that there we played competitive games and no game was a gimme. There was no cupcake on the schedule. There was no, the brotherhood of whatever college playing against, Alabama.
Right.
So I think it's a great turning point if that can actually happen.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely, we see it in college basketball, right? Who goes undefeated? And we see it all the time. You see number 1 seeds are, 25-5, whatever it may be, right? And normally if you have double-digit losses, that's when it gets dicey. But there's teams that aren't going undefeated. There's a reason why when you think about undefeated, you think about Memphis with John Calipari. You think about, obviously what Gonzaga's done at times and whatnot. But Duke has quality losses, right? North Carolina has quality losses. And what I mean by that is, those big games that they decide to play non-conference when Duke plays Kentucky. and they lose that game, but it's, 81-78. And, it's a good game. Gonzaga had a bunch quality non-conference losses to big teams. They had last season, at the beginning of the season, they had an instant classic with Duke. So, I think college football should do that. I've never been a fan of playing your second to last game of the regular season as a gimme, as you try to give your team a boost when you have that rivalry game coming up. So, you bring in Heidel or Abilene Christian or whatever. And I'm not trying to knock those teams. It's just they bring them in. You bring in UMass, you bring in UConn for those games. And, they're 1-11. So I would like to see a more competitive schedule. And with all due respect, if Nick Saban is saying that, Alabama is one of the teams that has a cupcake. So if he's going to say
absolutely.
it,
yeah. They got three of them on the schedule? They have Arkansas State, and they got was it Yale Big Pin University on one of them? It's like what division is one? But it's funny. Nick Saban still gets angry about it because one time they asked him in the press conference, "Well, you're playing against New Mexico State. Are you going to bring out 4 different quarterbacks?" And he goes, "We're still trying to win the game." We know that, but you're going to try to run up the score to make it look good for the newspapers that it's like 85-0, and then everybody in the stadium wants to go back to the tailgate and watch the CBS on SEC on CBS.
Well, when Trevor Lawrence, I think it was Clemson played South Carolina State a few years. No, I'm sorry, they played Citadel, and Trevor Lawrence by halftime had just ridiculous stats, and it was like, can you please just take him out because there's no point in getting him injured? And we know what these games are for, and we know what they stand for, and it's to pad statistics, and it's to give them a boost, and it's to make them look good, and it's so that Alabama and Auburn and some of those teams out there could say we won 70-0. Look at how dominant we are. But due respect, if you play those teams, you're supposed to be the center. If you're playing McNeese State, that's a lot different than scheduling Notre Dame. And even Notre Dame's not high. And I have a lot of thoughts about Notre Dame, and we can hit that whenever. The 2 times they went, in my opinion, to earn it, there was one year where they barely beat Vanderbilt, barely beat Ball State. They played 2 ranked teams. The only teams they blew out were Florida State, who wasn't good at the time. It was when everything was starting to go south. They beat Eric Dungey in South Bend, or they beat Syracuse in South Bend without Eric Dungey. So they had 2 blowouts against teams that weren't ranked that they should beat. And then the argument was, well, typically on paper, USC and Stanford and those teams are good. I said, I don't care what on paper is. Are they ranked this year? Because how many times have I looked at Notre Dame's schedule going, okay, so they played 1 or 2 ranked teams, and last year they got pulverized by Cincinnati, and when they made it to the college football playoff before that, they said their quality win was against Clemson. That was a win at home in double overtime where Trevor Lawrence didn't play. And then when they played in the ACC championship against a healthy Clemson team, they got murdered. So how is it a quality win when you lost most recently, and your quality win is against their backup quarterback in his second game ever in college at your house in double overtime?
Exactly. Well, Dan, I'm going to let you go because I know you have to do your program, but I want to say congratulations, bud. I saw that on Facebook. Yeah, you're engaged to a very nice young lady. Congratulations there, sir.
Yeah, life is interesting, man. I'm running around and enjoying the Queen City. I got Bojangles and Zaxby's today, so I don't know if I'm going to make a light morning, but we'll see.
Nice. Well, we'll have a safe trip back to Syracuse, and we'll talk a little more before the start of the season. We'll go in a little more with your interview with Commissioner Phillips, and we'll dive in a little more about what ACC needs to do to be competitive.
Yeah, well, no, I definitely appreciate y'all, and I'm jumping on my broadcast here, but any questions or anything you got, I want to thank not only you, Chris, but I want to thank all of you here that are a part of this and on the panel. I want to thank you, Adam and George, because I definitely appreciate your questions. I appreciate your time, and your kind words go a long way. And, like I always say, I'll work to deserve them because you gave me a lot of credit, and I'm just a kid who loves what I do, trying to work hard. So I appreciate the kind words, and I always appreciate being on the show. So thanks, Chris.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Safe travels. All right.
Take it
All right,
easy,
take
Dan.
care.
All right. See you.
Dan.
All right. That's Dan DeTora from Sportscaster, writer, president, and CEO of Dan DeTora Broadcast Media LLC. So, well, we're going to wrap it up because it's time for us to get on out. I guess somebody wants to go eat some dinner, or me, I want to go get ready to hit the hay because it's been a long day for me, So, so thanks for everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks for Mitchell Hitchcock from the new team down in Annapolis joining us on the program. Thanks for the coaches from Richmond and William and Mary. And also, we can't forget saying thank you to Norm Duke for stopping by. And, that was such a fantastic interview with him. We'll leave you tonight with something I was going to play earlier because I was waiting for the BC guy. Every time we try to do something cool here on the program, like what's the best song, the number one song, or in the music history, this one became the number one song today back in 1973. Jim Croce singing.
Great song.
Yeah, bad song. Yeah, but the sad thing is,
tune in 2 notes.
Yes, but the sad thing is, he died 3 months later in a plane crash. So it's sad, but we'll leave you guys with this classic tune, a little bad Leroy Brown, and we'll see you all next Tuesday here on the program. We'll be back in our original time spot. We'll talk Clemson football because we'll get some Clemson people on, and we'll talk what Dabo and the rest of the guys were talking about the last couple of, like yesterday. And then we'll, where is it? Before we have to go, we got to say congratulations to Kyle. I forgot to say Kyle Troop. Congratulations, bud. I know you probably woke up yesterday morning, this morning, and, you won an award, but, congratulations, bud. It's great that you won, and, and it's good for the sport to have a new winner. So, in the meantime, I'll send some, we'll see you guys next week here on the program. And have a great.
And Chris is the baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than a whole King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog.
Yes. Sounds like that wrestler. Remember that wrestler in WWE, or WWE, the junkyard dog? I went, I was like, I thought that song was about that guy. I was like,
oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, let's play it, and I'll see you all next Tuesday at 7:00. So here it is.
Well, the south side of Chicago is the baddest part of town. And if you go down there, you better just beware of a